fine. And then suddenly he's vomiting, he's unwell, he's taken to hospital, and they said, oh, he's got cancer, you know, and he's dead within 6 months. It was really inexplicable. But after that, I felt very concerned, really. There was no check on his food, really. Cooks were coming up from Conakry, and of course, in those days, the American embassy was open. I heard since, I didn't know at the time, that one of the cooks that came had been working at the American embassy. But he was very fit till about 1968. Then I began to notice he's losing weight. Inexplicably, he seemed to be eating all right, but he wasn't so well as he had been.
So by 69, 70...
69, 70, he was losing weight, yes, and he was having stomach upsets. He never had trouble like that before.
But he was a very fit man through it.
Very fit, yes. I think that one of the Vietnamese or Chinese doctor, I think it was a Vietnamese doctor that attended him mostly when he was in Conakry, said he had the blood pressure of a young man, you know, when he was first there, but there was this rather slow deterioration, and quite noticeably about 1970, he was definitely a sick man. And he wanted to really to get a medical checkup in Moscow, because he had great faith in Russian medicine, and he didn't want, obviously, to go anywhere in the West. But it was the unfortunate time because the Russians were hobnobbing with the West. It was a time of détente.
Yes.
They'd opened an embassy in Nkrumah, and he was told that it would be inopportune, was the word they used, for him to travel to Moscow for a checkup. But they could recommend a very good clinic in Bucharest, and Ceausescu was there, you know, an ally really of the Russians at the time. So he went there, but by that time he was a very sick man.
So by 71, he had to check into the hospital, or
No, but in the autumn really of 1971, he went to Bucharest for a checkup, but he died there, unfortunately.
Yes.
Following April, he was by that time seriously ill.
So you saw him once or twice in
Bucharest?
Bucharest?
Yes, I went 3 times there, actually. Yes. Mm.
And each time you saw that he was deteriorating, more or less.
Oh, yes. Well, I got a terrible shock when my first visit there. But he had warned me, typical of him. He phoned up and said, we must be courageous. I'm not as you remember me. And I thought, what exactly does he mean? He's probably his hair's gone white or something. But I got a terrible shock when I saw him. He was sitting up in a chair, and his legs were terribly swollen. He said he'd been sitting there for 6 weeks because it was too painful to lie down. And he wasn't. They brought a sort of light meal, but he obviously didn't fancy any of it. And I couldn't get any sense out of the doctor there. No, they wouldn't tell me. I shouldn't. Well, he had a couple of Ghanaians from his entourage that went with him to Bucharest. Wonderful people. Kwam was one. What was the other one? Oh, Yamike was there as well.
Okay.
You know, his nephew that had been with him in Conakry and always travelled with him. And they said, we can't find out. They won't tell us what's wrong with him. Perhaps you can find out. So I asked if I could see the doctor in charge. You know, not in Nkrumah's presence, of course. And he said, are you his wife? And I said, no, I'm not his wife, but I'm his publisher. And I'm very concerned about, you know, his health. And so he flannelled a bit. He didn't tell me what. He said, if we'd seen him 2 years ago, maybe we could have done something, but we can't. There's nothing we can do now. So I said, well, is it cancer, you see? Because a lot of people were saying, it was in the press here that he'd got cancer. And the doctor didn't say, no, he just said, oh, why does everyone talk about cancer? But he said it's all over him. And I said, well, what is all over him? I couldn't get anything out of it. But I don't know what they made of it, but I still maintain I think he was poisoned.
That's on the this is very was he still right?
I still maintain he was poisoned. Many anu me chill be obaso. Send ya down the day in I the bremono. And then so you abeshim into Uber Hasi now shemo YouTube. So what you have to do to push the page of late because of your weak engagement. It is really affecting the reach, especially on Facebook. On YouTube, if you are with us and you're truly with us, you have to know what you have to do so that you keep the page active. Okay, you don't just come and watch. You have to come, you watch, and you engage yourself so that we gel together, we move together. I hope you listen to the conversation between the interviewer and June Mill. June Mill used to be the publisher for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And so this is it. And don't worry, the enemies at Townful, they are still around, okay? They haven't gone anywhere. They are still with us. And they continue to be with us. What you see? So a continuation of the last conversation we had about 2-3 days ago. Why we are here. We are here because of certain sinister and diabolic stuff people put together against the engine, against the fulcrum, against the pivots. The foundation. So now if people get up to complain, oh, why is Ghana the way it is today? It is the way it is today simply because people didn't allow certain savvy individuals who took the reins of power to take us to where we're supposed to get to before stupid ones join in. Now we are going to continue from where we ended the last time. And sometimes you sit down and then you reckon, you want to calculate how things have unfolded. They have unfolded so badly to the extent that sometimes you find it difficult to even calculate. Untumi. And yes, untumi. What did I mention? I say no. I say how things have actually degenerated. Then you sit down and then you ask yourself basic questions. Basic questions. One person, he was not just fought against by the Quislings and then the traitors. The Quislings and the traitors, the guy was fought vehemently against by the Western powers. Last time I made a statement here. Whenever you see Europe, whenever you see America chasing a particular thing, don't underestimate that particular thing any European or any American or any currently Asian chasing. Sawuko nase obronia wo free America, obronia wo free Europe, obronia wo ye British, nase odibibiatia. I am stating here. Me musa de no adifin ana adefun. Because such people, they don't spend their energy on stupid things. Most especially their leaders. Most especially their leaders. So whenever you see the so-called advanced country chasing a particular thing, don't joke with it. So now you understand me better. You ask yourself why Lyndon Johnson, why the British, why the the Caucasians were chasing Nkrumah. Why? Busa ho aden na omo pursue no. Se na oyo jimi fo a ho. Ti said ye nananom tena afie bu ni se oye jimi fo no a anka broni bie no obese na da je wo no ho. Nkrumah nti almost said that ma CIA criminal intelligence agency Central Intelligence Agency said that no undercover ebe share Ghana American embassy all year adwuma as if say all year adwuma for diplomatic reasons. But then yes, I net here. Almost the neighbor say American embassy one more Ghana just to pursue Nkrumah. And almost Sade Bako and so called say one country away from Ghana, Ivory Coast. And maybe we say catch or say the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah no. Now the president of Ivory Coast, Ufo was an instrumental figure in the overthrow. No wonder in that same period there were a series of allegations, not even from Nkrumah's own backyard, but from Ufo alleging that Nkrumah had sent mercenaries to Niger to go and assassinate the president of Niger. At the time. And then they fueled this kind of propaganda. They fueled it so much very well to the extent that it blended perfectly with the internal propaganda the people held against Nkrumah. Now 58 years on, almost 60 years, getting to 2 generations. A generation is 30 years. So getting to 2 generations, we are still remembering the illustrious son of Ghana and Africa. He has left such an indelible mark on the tongues were jai asensudia opipa enko e de ato ye ntechema so. And you see, and he wielded that unique and superior voice. Wherever you hear his voice, you don't waste time to identify. You can never waste time to know that it is Nkrumah speaking. Such an illustrious son of Africa. I will never forget this great man. I dare not forget him. I can never forget this extraordinary man. Someone who won elections from prison, who win elections from prison, and rose to become the Prime Minister of the Republic of Ghana. Those of your ancestors you want to foist their little history on us. Tell us what extraordinary things can we see from them? Whilst one turned to be an undercover in the American embassy, the other stayed or lived a country away from Ghana, which is Ivory Coast, in the person of John Stockwell. John Stockwell, I know what they share. On one a bekan and numu John Stockwell na on a bekan and numu asem. And no more Howard T. Barnes ebe say Ghana embassy you planting a share because Nkrumah had the time seen Nkrumah sends it into one time not CIA for nimbi anya se omuni Nkrumah din komo in 1965 May ho baby April May ho baby no omuni ne kosia ye omuni din kom Nkrumah e kasa se na osu odi na ni to osu se na osu unim di ntia oka na o catch CIA for no Nkrumah could feel enu na ni krom Ghana for ne say na osom kankan nyame. He was sent na oni wo a omo soma anu ne di nkomo odi na ni to osu se na Nkrumah esu CIA ni busa ne say ade na osu Nkrumah asem o ka che ne say me nipa baako 7 assassination attempts on me. Nkrumah kasa na odi na ni tu ewiem se no osu ehọ na CIA fo ni hu se Nkrumah hu yo mo pese o mo ye no last time I catch him say Nkrumah ohuin Nkrumah hu se enkofo no enye tu no mo pese o mo tu no o mo pese o mo kunu ankasa enu nti na ne maame nya ne ba course waka chen se Kwame fa won kro fa ma wo mo enti right from the Nipano now war right from his birth, can't you guys see that he was chosen? He was destined to do something for the country. Obi a okwa America no de Francis Kofi Nwia Ngoloma. We free America buy no kofa, we free America call land no buy and dino abedane Kwame Nkrumah. You see, when nature wants to use you for a particular purpose, nature will definitely change your name, change your persona, and use you. Morefi, and no be no matter what Bible ni mono. Those of you watching me on Facebook, no, my engagement is extremely poor. Of late, mobile, you don't like the show, you don't comment, you don't share, and you wish that this program gets to as many people as possible. Ebedena asemno akodru omoho. I don't know, just say a banner de bia a babe kaimo. Working for the black man Nankasano, adding. What do you say? Adding. Black man and who do my yeno. Me say adding Ankasa. last time ye kan ye no ya amfa hanan so me say stories no de omo aka kire wo no ene nokura na e wo honom no enokura na e wo ho no he edoso enokura na doso. What we are doing is only undressing the dress lies. Atro afata de de ase. Eno de dihinia inti afi ne ye bewro atro ntade na gu ho. Inti ye ro atro ba ku sei ye ro atro ba ku sei a ne ye de nokre 10 de ase wo. So that you really appreciate whatever we're doing here. '24th year, exactly 58 years, Nkrumah was ousted, was actually ostracized. Ye kanesu. But he's just a great man who never wished anything untoward happened to Ghana. If Nkrumah actually wanted something or anything untoward to happen to us, he could have done it with ease. Anka tintin Ekufuado me lose 2020 elections but abeko so atena so. Anka besi nenke ye my Ghana no nke ni asumdwe. Obi say, why are we talking plenty? We are talking plenty because this man Kwame Nkrumah, his name worth mentioning. Not just mentioning, every day in our lives. And anytime, anywhere. And at all times, we have to mention his name. He's such a great man with fantastic ideas. Do you think the Americans, do you think the British, they were fools to spend their state resources on just a common man? And no was say Ekufuado, when you were busuafo no, any those of you are more time Nkrumah no, montras na monwe ho say. People who think, who always hold their stance that Nkrumah wasn't any special individual. Then it begs the question, if Nkrumah actually wasn't any special individual, why the British, why the American wasted their energy on Nkrumah? They could have decimated him within a flash. Se Nkrumah no, se sani Ekufuado no mu abusuafo no hu Nkrumah, sani Kwame Nkrumah tamfo a mo Ghana mu hu no, se na otise de mu hu no a, anka broni ha na adade won hu. Ba obroni ehu Nkrumah se Nkrumah was even ahead of them. That is it. And he held the keys. He had our fortunes right inside his palms. Na Africa, any obibinia ne kala te seme, a ne tini eye wuli te seme no. Na ye dachi da kwa ne nsem. Ye dachi ne da ne nsem. Na ye dachi, na eda akwani nsem into Bruni who said, no, if I should allow this guy to champion this cause, we are doomed. Our future generations are going to be doomed, and our future generation will forever curse us. And the first warning of Nkrumah was to totally take away Patrice Lumumba. He was captured in 1960. Patrice Lumumba was killed in 1961 by the same people who orchestrated and rightly so implemented the overthrow of Nkrumah. Right after Kwame Nkrumah Ekoma speech, Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute, after Coup, Patrice Lumumba of Congo, or mass speech in we, and it just be too far the whole of Africa, Europe, and America. Ena or climacy bibia with the book Watrono Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism. Or chosa book ni we ya America President I know Lyndon Johnson at the time. And the ambassador William P. Mahoney, ambassador na or Ghana, a friend of William P. Mahoney Jr. Say akwa we ya nya book no mo nsa kan 1965 no say wo ya bon ho adwen de ato ho. It has always been the certain people, their great agenda to make sure that the black man doesn't rise. The resurrection of the black man was actually in the hands of Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah had the keys to our freedom, not the freedom, the freedom you got in 1957. That one, Nkrumah never termed that one to be freedom. The freedom Nkrumah was looking for was what we call economic liberation. Erias na yetino, duane, baby a obeda, the obese, the obenum, wayaresa, wadisuya, wajumasem, and non nema uti wiase. Enti so bifa wadisuya, ofa wayaresa, ofa wadadie, ofa waduane die, ofa unsu numwa. Na oja wo say, hey, me bibia opebia yetre mia. That is never called freedom. When someone takes hold of the food you eat, your clothes, your shelter, your water, your commerce, that is your buying and selling. If someone takes control over that one, you do not have any freedom. Because freedom sits in economy. If you have a beautiful, if you have a flamboyant, if you have a vibrant economy, then you have freedom. And that is why Nkrumah was championing, was telling Africa, we still haven't got the freedom yet. Let's forge on. That better freedom is ahead. Let's join hands and claim that freedom. And that freedom, no one will give to you unless you work for it. But the people was that happy. They were happy hearing those stuff, but they were not prepared to make sacrifice in order to get that particular freedom. The freedom Nkrumah was talking about was economic freedom. That is what is called freedom. Any other freedom is not freedom. Any other freedom, juxtapose what I just said against your very marital home. If there is no food in the house, there wouldn't be any peace there. And where there is economic freedom, there is peace. If you do not have money to pay your kids' school fees, there will never be peace and freedom in your home. If you do not have a befitting shelter to shelter your kids and your wife and your pets and your nuclear family, so to speak, you do not have any freedom. Freedom is having economic freedom. When those who overthrew, those who pushed Nkrumah out of power, when they realized that this guy was preaching something that can change the life of the black man forever, and they said that no, let's go into them and create confusion. And so they came into us and created confusion. And so whilst Nkrumah was fighting for economic unity, mental unification of Africa, they were peddling amongst the other African countries that if you should allow this thing to work, Nkrumah will cow all of you under him and he will make Ghana the capital of Africa. And that wasn't and was never the mindset of Nkrumah. But you know, the black man since time immemorial, our plausibility, you can be a plausible, and I say a friend say ubia oje enyoma dintem yenusan yetiye, because we gravitate towards gossip, we gravitate towards hearsay, rumors. And so the moment the oppressor became present amidst us, the people started believing in what the oppressor was preaching rather than believing in what the liberator was preaching. It has never been the wish of the shepherd. It has never been the wish of the shepherd that the sheep should get up one day and become wise. And the wolf is never an enemy to the sheep. The wolf is an enemy to the shepherd. Because the moment the wolf comes into the flock, the work of the shepherd becomes difficult. And the wolf is actually a friend to the sheep, because whenever the wolf gets into the flock will begin to think out of the box. And the moment you begin to think out of the box, that means that you are now going to do the right thing, and that will call for running for your life. In running for your life, you begin to explore and exploit your inner capabilities. And when you begin to explore and exploit your inner capabilities, it is there and then you begin to discover yourself and to know who you truly are, what you can do and what you cannot do. And those things you cannot do, you begin to figure out, what must I do in order to fit in? So the wolf is never an enemy to the sheep, but an enemy to the shepherd. The wolf comes into your fold for you to liberate yourself from the shackles of the shepherd, because the shepherd, it is the shepherd's sole responsibility to always cow you into subjugation, so that odide bia no tenase okase da no ada okase gina ho ana ogina ho ase patakuni ba wo mu a ehọ na odwanhwefo no behu se oye adwuma. One would say, after the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, let's all cast our minds back and calculate things from there up until now and see what significant milestones have we achieved. Have we had any leverages in our lives? No. And the reason the building of Ghana and Africa have become difficult for us is that the foundation is weak. The simple reason is that, what foundations do you have for you to build upon? Now, day in, day out, the resources for building the foundation keep dwindling. The resources keep vanishing. Scarcity has set in the resource. So how do you get resources to build the foundation and to even further build upon the main structures? And since Nkrumah's time, after Nkrumah's demise, we haven't yet finished the construction of the foundation. And we are still where we are because of the sinister, the diabolic minds from the Queenslands and the traitors. The Queenslands and the traitors. The collaborators and the traitors. On my safe war, one will say nature Emma ho kwan Emma sa enkrofo no the offspring of such useless ones no ebenya atumi no. Have you seen the results? Yes, we have all seen the results. We have seen the results. Ye Musa ye say Kwame Nkrumah, the devil Kwame Nkrumah no wewu oko. The angel Ekufuado, JB Dankwa, the big sis and whatever Omar Babi Diakonyano. Have we seen any significant change that is probably far superior to what Nkrumah left for us? Yeah. Sometimes no ye nyina no ye sorry and ye blame JJ in one way or the other. But let me tell you one thing, one secret. Time a JJ Beji reigns of power no. Now oh my Ghana as say beyond repairs. We had a great chasm. You can say chasm, a space, political chasm. Great space ever dam from 1966 to 1979. Space be dam in between no and a kutu a champon be share ho. Into kutu a champon be share ho no. Onon so sa or yes say all drive the course of Nkrumah no a beye economical ebema economic liberation aba enkofo na asetene no. Then came another useless coup. And now a crashy woman into from 66 to 79. That was the looting galore in Ghana's politics. A man for you see the monies people have in our politics today, no. And in 1992 no munya yo. Some people actually stash, omo hide, omo tamsikan eko she baby. Omo tamsikano between 1966 to 1979, no. And for a massive, unreasonable, inexplicable wealth. And for all you know, no, you check period Ben at China the developer here. It was between 66 to 1970. Now Korea developer. And from 1966 to 1980s, no, now Korea developer where we. And nothing Olympics game, no, 1986, or me host 2 year, no. And nothing about Korea Timmy host to 1986 Olympics game. And omo do take off point, omo call play no, and then nam tarmac no swa hiti engine na afi de na tour and nam wiemo no. And that was the same period that not China for a serious in the industrialization in their industries, in their technology, in their movies. Every aspect, they were changing things. Sa gab na Ghana de bi nyaye no. And ne break ya bisine. Yes, thank you so much, Tony. 1988 rather. So 1988. Sa time no. When him say Nkrumah 7-year development plan, no, it was a precursor to, say, 1966 to 1970, 7 years. Then the second Rainbeds take off 1970 to 1985. Na Ghana re economic fundamentals ni na ye re. Afi no, ye too far to say accord ye ni na wiem. Ye samba. Inti swasha any country that period na Dubai and so they build it. I am man for say Dubai 2000 ya obowa. Enya 2000 yo 2000 you know. No my year into almost started reconstruction. And into na Palm Jamal Islands no almost started in 2000 and Hobebia by 2005 no almost will be. Into by 1985 no na ye Kwame Nkrumah plans say by 1985 dear Ghana ye wie I say waka benku na wie into that the same no na wo rere benku no aduane na nkasa no substantive meal ne dear we wie. This was the plan. By that time no na adura at the grains atokwo awio ye benya mponchi ubenya lamb o sister na oti America no o shop no ko tonamo a o so oto lamb ne edey odwan a ne nam ne bete a wona nana ne se tutu no benya biare e no mo kotori Ghana ho timi to biwe Ghana ho hwan ne wo mponchi 4000 ewo ho obi ani bi Ghana honom no hwan na wo mponchi ewo ho hwan mo nso na of late we ya na o ma ba be send report ewo Facebook so ma send a report to Facebook ama munya video na me just say YouTube on ma na mo hwe free na we there just say we dwen ho a wonte ase then I stand back. Network, no, I don't know. Of late, no, people have been trying. I won't say India phobia. Mamin fa wimpem. India phobia. Omo hwa. Omo fi say na say omo take amount pages nti no mo amu use mo am normal pages kra mo nye very careful wo hwa obi dey some useless message ba beli o say na ye chiche bibi say na ye bibi say enti no obe send say ya send code bi e dey amount of Facebook no ya send code bi dey amount of Facebook no inti omo yesa obi hu anse code ni ba wo phone so no aka cho se senema no o senema no a na odi age wo page no ana odi age wo ayi na fi nsem o ka se wo pe a na obebusa se freska bra na me no ye no ya tena internet ni so ache inti omo ya dada omo sa omo ye dada omo sa so omo hu so omo nya kwasia inti kwasia nso no ahu ni nua kwasia omo me dada omo sa afi no omo ankasa no omo abamu abu inti me nua lady me hu so wa ha say you very careful obi betimi aba be ka cho say oye puma oni puma fo na ye adwuma omo de agigi agimifo bibiri omo titi internet ni so omo de agigi omo page omo ye nibrefo no ma agigi omo page inti munye very careful. There's no free lunch anywhere. What is here? Into no, your friends honum. To who page, you're very careful. That is what they do. Omo page na, or normal page na, man for ni mo your business no. Or beje no a catch yourself for sikamano. And san or do page no asama enti enye bibia na ohu a ubie kwhwe na ye kase fa password bra na dia ba there bi munyai afi yenko yanim yemfa dia ka ne nso so ne yenko yanim. So, now coming back to the issue. They are not confusing me. Thank you so much, Minia. Coming back to the issue. Minia, de bia mekano ha. Se wokoto enkwofukuo bi mu na wonnim nyansa sen wo mo dodo a ya ne ntem ne firi wo mu. Tie ni ye pa. Minua se woko na wokoto a particular group of people bi mu na wonnim nyansa sen wo mo a hwe ni ye. Esanse wunyansa bebi na wonim sen wo mo nti no. Bibia nu a obeka kire wo mo bete ase. Bibia nu a obeka kire wo mo a omo bete ase. Eno na dia bedru ha sei ne no. Eno na dia bedina ha sei na ye ni abre a ye kai Kwame Nkrumah. Ni anya Kwame Nkrumah ho edo ho edew ani no. Enra me hu se abrante bi ti se Europe ho ba bi oye Ghana ni na oye plumbing work na watu asase ase na o kire se hwe se asase na watu ase no asase na onu na tu ase no baby a pipes ni nam baby a gas we nam baby a deben nam o me hweti ya o se Ghana ye mpanyimfo na de ende no kasa bebrie. Minia she say at the time Nkrumah edi Ghana for build Ghana no. At the time wa Ghana for na Nkrumah de Ghana for build Ghana no. Or the Ghana for build tema communities no. Na yen two septic tank wo baby or ye den or connected toilets na e free all the facilities nimu e boom one one particular place. In this Ghana for no a Nkrumah ma ye trainee wo mo no a e free Nkrumah chiko amanfo bagi tumi a omo amayan train sa Ghana for no omo be dey no ma pass on knowledge ne dia maye. And don't you guys know say the more you continue doing something, the more you perfect yourself in that particular thing. China is China today because what their ancestors started with them in the 70s, in the 60s, no, they continued practicing those things. And now they have perfected themselves in whatever thing our ancestors nature omo. And na yenso so ye ancestor Nkrumah etre bibi no. Ofri hoko ye no, and obi baye, and obi gu no. And those who were trained in the period of Nkrumah no, they could not pass on their knowledge, their experience, their expertise onto us. And this is the reason it will become difficult for any Ghanaian engineer to build a bridge, a civil engineer to build for instance, Senti Bridge. No, this is Senti Bridge, or popularly known as Adome Bridge. It will be difficult for any Ghanaian engineer so be to me. Obien to me, na me catch them. Omun to me, because they have not been able to overcome the fear. Say yena ekubue. Because in Nkrumah a time, no, na or allow omu ye. Into omu ye ni bu ye kwa. We will continue say ombe perfect omu very well. Womu. You see, you know, afi no be matrama kwa. And in order say yan ko matrama kwa na sika na mu yensen ni bi, you know, and the China for mummeje na munye. Eye den na China for. Omu nso ko sua fi Europeans no ho saa o. Omusu kusua fi Americans no ho saa. Okusua fi Russia for no ho saa. But enne no China ne kasa na Russia moa. China ne kasa na America moa. China ne kasa na Britain amoa adentia. They have perfected themselves in whatever their ancestors bequeathed unto them. A japade enioma no a omo nanam de ma omo no omo akwadre omo. And this is how they build the crew. Now as we speak, what foundation, what legacies are Nkrumah jaye no na kwasi prat mo bebre hokro mo refi, because the system couldn't allow them to operate with those expertise, those technologies, those knowledge, no system, no entimi amwa wo na ade no anya hu training, no anya mfumso wo no obeye day and watimi ehunu. This is the reason in here omu tu Kwame Nkrumah free ade so no na wo say kedi omu call firing squad complete. Omu yo mind bofo ene omu na nanum bi nete ho a omu gigi sika se emfa nkoye konfa no chi no omu ene omu faase ne omu na nanum bi ene omu mani bi ena aba be president yekotu amena e dia to ekuro mfimfin se ye di si asori dan dia manyankopon de ne yesi osom kankan nyame etimi hu se dachi bi ne mama beba ne nanan beba na omani beje ade a ye friend abodie mu hwehwemu a ye friend science and technology and odisi university si tech and odikosi University of Cape Coast onim se ne mabi beba omeko school and odisi schools across Ghana. Owie ye no or started say or establishing farms. Now Okan, one of his speeches said, the mighty Accra plains nanke di beye imfu akese e wo hifa atade e hyemi cotton anka oduru sirimu a anka cotton plantation nanke nipa gumu ne de ye adwuma akwa ne fi akonya so no esirimufo nkoda cotton factory a industry o si no sirimu honom no abe white elephant ne si ho ama ne nananom ebi jeso omu di omu ti eswa ne yonko ade ansa no nyana no edidi etna ebe to aso number ne 0240258269 opese o frame a frame through WhatsApp opese o support program nso so a obetimi a support through that same line 0240258269 from Sisia Nature Wabin. You will see 10 minutes into all back now by long stories. You be also. Mena Casania Media. and mama akwan kakra bi se won so ka ketua bi inti mesre wo oba memme ye ena wo ho te se na ego e call time mu me ho ye inti na mabetena ha sei no se me ho nya memma me ho ye inti mesre wo oba ye na no ko wasem ne so na yen nye no street unia yakra mo inti no number ne 0240258269. Many I didn't maybe I can suffer.
What the name of Macana for Tribu Papa, Show. You will probably hear about my name. Said, don't go for your mouth is on photo. I'm winning the pop on the Farancasa. But Ghana for nothing, I just started using a banner who was a no mobile. I mean, come over here will be a Mitchell. I mean, Church Amandawala.
It has minia. Hello, Odini baby Akazafri. Say baby I want a network 9 years solid. Into your network, papa. A network near stable, not what boy remo. Hello? Hello? Still connecting. Baby, Ocean or Mr. Opposition who ye and son of afraid. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you're talking. Miniam uncle.
Yeah. I grew up in the north. Hello?
You're talking more uncle.
I grew up in the north, and when I was growing up, there was this cotton development board, and granite company, there was rice, national rice company. They were all in our neighborhood. We used to go there to go and play around that place. And all those ones were the things that Nkrumah left behind. They are all in the bush right now. When I moved to Tema, to the silos and the factories around them, my auntie was working at GTL, which was in Tema, and GTMC. The factories, I think we had a radio called Casanova. We were producing fridges and TVs and stuff. What happened? Because we started, that was way back. And now, look, those who
we have been there before. We have been there before. We have been there before. Minia, that's it. We have been there before. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, we didn't be a free. Minia, my uncle.
Because I'm free with your family. Once I'm okay, I won't no crap. Young nordness now, so from a be a company, as I say, sweet beer, what they say, the Gunja traditional Kayano. Mama who say the Omo common, say the Omo ancestors at your mama chi on Castle this in Bo, say your mama and chi, the ancestors at Tanachi. Omo Japa separates. Omo Kumiano, Massa Cono for now, going for you, Molan, if you know from no say Cassan Lawson, but going for you, Molan, if you know for her, Massa, no for Yamodia. She say nearby also. I'm interested in this red wine.
Hello, didn't baby Akasafri. Yeah, Mr. Sound never watch you know disturb you or has a power. Yantishi, we barely. Hello? Hello?
Good evening.
Hello, Mama Nonko Kasa.
Hello, good evening. Good. Coleno Gomema Viga. Fado, Kebaumia, Julani. for go pa me lo ajula njo bibi ni mama efefen ya ameha no na mesomo ni mabilio akashi ni mama efe ne mi be mi ndc bi ekomele ho sana me outside na can you mama me ashi ene mama efe ne mama fe ne mama fe ne kone mana akashi ni mama efe ne chika be ya outside te be mama bi ba le akashi ni mama no mama fitai no me MPP be amena they speak too much. They are thieves.
Thank you. Hello. Yes, my uncle.
You made my mind emotional. Go to Ghana. You're breaking time for cooking my everything. What goes around comes around.
So you find it difficult to see a better one, Kappa. Michelle, my who's open so can't be open so but sound never watching high. Hello, my uncle Minia.
Good evening.
Ajoso.
Good evening. Hello, good evening.
Minia Casa, what's yanning in an edo time na air contima one uncle. Why?
Okay, so perfect Friday. Now, what is why you want Ghana hapa na 1 year we and he said, and can you pa na nka wo person mo say Ghana no wo titi so sese no na nka sese oji won free system no anaso mo wan no so a obisa na asem ko hu ni oka te se ni o mo titi so sese an the one is why adwuma na so 1 year we to me anti hello
yeah ton kakasa
hello tina ke so finish one me da ma se adwuma pa mo ye afi we dey e beto abapa na me shira mo
yo that's it. Hello. This particular number, I think say it was different continent. So offer ya far untimin kasa. So wow friend we used to say 02 friends 240 no or number no also position who ye difficult say you bit to me afa. Hello. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You're very smart man. You know that you are truly a professor. If anybody say you are not a professor, they don't know what they are talking about. You know, you really break this thing down, the Nkrumah history down from 1966 to the 70s. There was a gap. That is truly true. Okay, because I remember coming to the States in the 70s. Okay. And from that period to maybe like 80 when Reagan became the president of the United States, you know what? Even if you mention Ghana, nobody knows what Ghana is. But there were some people around this area. Even if you tell them, hey, I'm from Ghana, where you from Ghana? They don't even know what Ghana is. They always say Guyana. But the ones that really know Ghana, the first person they refer to is Nkrumah. That's what they talk about. So at that time, when Nkrumah left, Ghana became a shallow place. Nobody even remembered. So your history that you were giving us, right? It is right on point. If anybody don't say you are a historian, they lie. Okay? And I applaud you for that. Okay,
Thank
brother?
you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello.
No.
I think it will be last call. Yeah, for me. Yeah, for Anusima.
You are doing so much, and God really bless you.
Thank you.
Indeed, you are giving us patience, and I thank you for what you are doing. We really appreciate it. I'm going for a second. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Okay.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, the best has a intimate for course ni bio. Your 10 minutes no aso. Intino dafo for every sambe to aso. And Nkrumah no is like a demigod. Or nyame. What you say? Also, people, the agenda was to take the name Ghana out of the mouth of the world. Nkrumah wuye no, and literally Ghana jrai. Inti eneno ubo bia no me se Ghana. But in the days of Nkrumah no, na area simno to from America to China, even Vietnam and Tokwesi. Even Vietnam, omunim. You meet people outside. Unim so almost say, Asia baby, the first person they mention. Is it Nkrumah's Ghana? Say yes. Into omu agenda no, omu mitiye. And memfa, don't underestimate the knowledge, the wisdom of the white man. Who underestimate now? You underestimate them at your own peril or peril. Edo besi ase nyame aduma ebeshia ochina. Bye bye.